Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Today's video was inspired by fellow YouTuber Biggnastycomics. Why, you may ask? Well, I'm going to answer that. The answer is simple. He sent me a bunch of Superboy books, which I actually needed one of. When all was said and done, I needed one. And what I have done is I have decided to review the era around the books he gave me. Now, I am missing one still from this little run where it starts. I start with an issue he sent me, and I end with an issue he sent me. So I do all the stories in between as well. This is a thank you very much, Rich. I appreciate what you did, and I'm going to turn this into a video. I am also want to, before I get going too much more, check out Comic Mike. Comic Mike was on my show a few weeks back, and he is very, very passionate about Bronze Age books. Pardon me. Especially on the DC side, which you don't see a lot of. You see a lot of Bronze Age Marvel comic channels out there, and that's great. That's awesome. A lot of people love that stuff. I love that stuff. I watch those, but there's very few Bronze Age DC guys out there, and Comic Mike is starting to set himself up as one of those, so check him out. Now to the regular. Let's go to what we're here for. The 1970s, specifically talking about Bronze Age. Okay, the mid-1970s were an interesting time for the Legion of Superheroes. They were finally got in their own title, shared with Superboy, of course. And it was Superboy starring the Legion of Superheroes at this point. Officially with issue 235, it became Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. It's still considered Superboy at the point I'm going to show here. It's a moot point, but the fact is, like, the naming stuff, the title on the cover says one thing, and the internal indicia says another thing. So basically, I'm going to start with the book from June 1975. This is a book that Big Nasty sent me, that I have signed here. This was my copy I had already, signed by the two creators, Jim Shooter and Mike Grell. But I'm going to, pardon me here, I'm going to show the copy sent to me by Big Nasty. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes 209. The main story is called Who Can Save the Princess? And as I said, it's written by Shooter and art by Mike Grell. Princess Projectra will die if the pain plague in her from the pain plague that's inside her within 6 hours, unless the Legionnaires can divert the disease into their own bodies. The resolution is really cool. This one has a backup story, same creators, with regards to a gentleman by the name of Flint Broge, who gets to be Legion guest for the day. The biggest thing I like about this period, before we go much further, is that Shooter and Grell managed to use a whole bunch of different people. It's not the same Legionnaires story after story, which happened a lot in the adventure era. This, by the way, was the first story of Jim Shooter did after coming out of his first retirement at age 18. So this is a good book to actually start with, because it's the beginning of the second Shooter era of the Legion. I do not have 210. That's the book I'm missing. So 211, The Ultimate Revenge, it's called. Same art, same creative team. Element Lad tracks down Roxas, the pirate that killed his people, and if you don't know who he is, he's in the same issue as Element Lad's first appearance in Adventure Comics 307. He also reappears later and kills Block. So he plans to execute him to avenge all the deaths of the Traumites. Again, interesting ending. The backup story has the Legion of Substitute Heroes taking over the old Legion clubhouse, the one that looks like the rocket. This clubhouse was actually a Kryptonian rocket, we find out in this one, that was sent with supplies for Kal-El by Jor-El, and it landed in the same place that Kal-El landed 1,000 years earlier. So that's kind of an interesting little tidbit that was not seen before. Jim Shooter added. It's pretty cool. But this is where the Legion of Substitute Heroes finally get a real headquarters. Issue 212, October 1975. Shooter and Grell still the creative team. 6 Legion rejects, each having the same power as a current member because they're from their homeworlds, challenge their counterparts to battle for the right to membership in the Legion. Known as the Super Rejects, they are individually powerful, but they lose to the teamwork shown by the Legion members there. At this point, Matter Eater Lad discovers he's been drafted to his planet to serve as a politician, and thus immediately resigns from the Legion. The backup story has Saturn Girl and Shadow Lass take on a gang of thieves, and Cosmic Boy reunites with Night Girl, having briefly broken up. They do get married later, by the way. So yeah, this is 212. Next up, we have Superboy starring the Legion 213. This is from December 75. This is the Jaws of Fear. Again, same creative team. A thief threatens to steal the Miracle Machine from the Legion. When they discover the thief's hideout, Ultra Boy has to come face to face with his biggest fear. And for those that don't know, Ultra Boy got his powers by being swallowed by a large whale, space whale, that is. And the ultra energy inside the whale gave him his powers. And by the way, his real name is Jonah. For those that know the biblical reference, that's where it comes from, in terms of where the Bible made the reference that they use for Jonah. I mean, there are some great little puns in Legion. For example, the fact that Matter Eater Lad comes from the city of Pepto on the planet Bismol. Come on. Like, that's kind of funny there. So, this is 213. Next up, from January 1976, issue 214, No Price Too High, same creative team. The Legion must save a spoiled rich kid from being enslaved on a robot planet that is controlled by a being called the Overseer. The backup story has Brainiac 5 helping shrinking Violet overcome a sudden fear of her own powers. This is a pretty cool book. Next up, we have issue 215, The Final Eclipse of Sunboy. Cary Bates is the writer here, but Mike Grell is still the artist. This is March 76. While Phantom Girl has to testify against an assassin, Sunboy suddenly goes into an eclipse state, making his powers run rampant. The backup story has Cosmic Boy in a moral dilemma because he can't use his powers from his planet's traditions to help stop the Emerald Empress in this particular issue. Next up, it's still Cary Bates and Mike Grell's April 1976, issue 216, The Hero Who Hated the Legion. The Legion trails a gang of crooks to an off-limits island and are told by the populace and their local hero Tyrock to stay out of the city. This is the first appearance of Tyrock, who joins the Legion for a short time. Backup story. With no powers and Duo Damsel unconscious, Bouncing Boy needs to fight off a gang of revenge-seeking crooks on his own. There's the reference to the Duo Damsel Bouncing Boy story at the bottom. It's pretty cool, actually. You know, Duo Damsel did pretty good for a husband, I gotta admit, for somebody who's, you know, a bouncing boy himself. Number 217 from June 1976. The Charge of the Doomed Legionnaires. Jim Shooter is back. Mike Grell is still the artist. Brainiac 5 plays a game of chess for keeps against Marshal Lorca of the Huns, or Kunds, depending on now, Kunds. It's Khunds, with the Legion members as the chess pieces. The backup story is Superboy meets a beautiful stranger during his latest trip to the Legion and learns that she is more than just an acquaintance. This is the first appearance of Laurel Kent, who is a descendant of Superboy, who only has invulnerability and super strength. But later we discover, post-crisis, is really a manhunter. Which ruined it all, because I loved the Laurel Kent. She was awesome. Issue 218 is July 76, and as you can tell, this is one of the DC bicentennial issues that were all issued in that month. This is number 22 if you're collecting. Ta-da. The secret villain the world never knew. The Legion enacts a test to see if Tyrock can qualify for membership, but the exercise is hijacked by an unknown character named Absorbency Boy, who wants to destroy the team. He was rejected from the Legion. Absorbency Boy is renamed Earthman later on and is a heavy villain in a Legion story from Action Comics 858 to 863, and I believe I covered that in an earlier video. He is the leader of the Justice League of Earth in that one, and then becomes a member of the Legion in volume 6, I believe. He ends up dying to save the Legion. And the next one is issue 219. The plunder ploy of the Fatal Five. Not play. Why would it be a play? As Duplicate Boy lies wounded from fighting Validus, the Legion must track down the rest of the Fatal Five, who have literally stolen a piece of a planet. The last issue and this issue did not have backup stories. They were full issue stories. So that, by the way, was also Shooter and Grell. The secret villain, though, was Cary Bates, and I should have mentioned that. And Mike Grell. Grell did all the art in this era except for this book. This is 220, The Super Soldiers of the Slave Maker. Jim Shooter wrote it. Mike Grell did pencils, but Bob Wojcik did the inks, or Wyacek. Yeah, Bob Wyacek. Reporting to a distress call from the planet Murgator, the Legion have to fight an alien race called the Tharg, who have enslaved the people of Murgathor. The Tharg have put a bomb at the center of the planet for compliance, but the Legion manages to disable it and defeat the bad guys. The backup story in this one, Dream Girl, Brainiac 5, and Chameleon Boy are flying back to Earth where she has a dream about an assassination attempt. This is the last issue that the title was 8 times a year. Starting with the next issue, it was upgraded to monthly. Inside this book was an ad that I feel the need to mention because it's just so funny. There's a Twinkie ad starring Aquaman in here, and the name of the strip is Twinkies and Kelp. I just think that's hilarious. Twinkies and Kelp, because that is the snack of life. Please leave a comment below if you've read any of these stories, or if you are interested in reading these stories. Please like and subscribe to this video if you've enjoyed it. I really love the Legion. That's no secret. This period is interesting because Grell is one of the best artists that ever worked on the Legion outside of Kurt Swan and maybe Keith Giffen. Well, Dave Cockrum did a bit too, so yeah, he's pretty good. You know, Dave Cochran's pretty good, but Mike Grell, though, was the one who brought in a lot of the new 70s costumes that they started wearing. Cockrum only had introduced 3 or 4 of them at the time. But Shooter brought back a lot of the feel of the old Legion by having shorter stories for the most part and bang, bang, bang. And as I said, he used different... The only consistent Legionnaire in every story is Superboy, for obvious reasons. It's Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, right? So, the rotating cast and the fact that I think the only Legionnaire that I can think of that wasn't in any of these stories was Starboy, and even that don't quote me on 100% on this, because, you know, I'm not exactly, my memory isn't 100%. But the fact is that a lot of the members got use, and it was great to see. You got Colossal Boy, you got Chameleon Boy, all Karate Kid, Princess Projectra. Karate Kid, of course, goes during this era, ends up going to the 20th century as well. Gets his own series of 15 issues from 76 to 78. So, or as they said, the DC explosion, which is something I really got to make a video about. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Like I said earlier, please comment, like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much to Big Nasty for the comics. He gave me 4 of the ones I showed today, and I really appreciate it. That's why the shout out, why everything out there. You've earned it, man. Thank you very much. My name is Matt, and I really like comics, and I hope you do too. Join me again. Thanks. Bye.